really advocate for the communities that we're trying to serve, and has been continually allowing me to grow in my career and opening doors and opportunities.
Excellent. I love that answer. And I also love the answer of having somebody who's inside those particular markets and then being able to actually help drive those markets to where you want them to be and not sitting back and just being reactive to the thing.
Absolutely.
Courtney, I'm interested in, particularly with an organization like the YWCA, who does, I will say, an absolutely tremendous job of what we've just talked about here, with terms of outreach into a variety of different communities and so forth. How do you communicate that back internally so that once you've reached a customer and you've shown that customer that as an organization you get them, how do you turn that back internal so that the people who work inside the Y are also really internalizing that for themselves and therefore treating their customers correctly?
Great. So, hello everybody. The light's beaming in my face and I just feel like I'm shining everywhere. So, this is my first time meeting Michael and I love him. So, it's like, ditto brother, preach it. So, so for the YWCA, hi Y, it is extremely important for us because while our mission is eliminating racism and empowering women, we want every woman. We want to eliminate racism for everybody and everything, not just blacks, not just Latinas or Latinos, but everybody who falls in that market. And the best way, or that community, and the best way for us to do it is to constantly drill it home for us. So as Michael was talking, I kept thinking, what a sad occasion that our communication department is on vacation this week. I understand they're tired, but we want to constantly drive. And they do a phenomenal job, but this becomes an excellent training for them. So while he's talking, I hate to say, I'm sitting here thinking, how do I get him inside to do an all-staff meeting to talk about this to the Y? Because while, thank you. While I think that I appreciate what he says, we do a tremendous job. I am the diversity trainer there, specifically with race, class, and gender, and I do the leadership development work there. So while we are constantly training our people, we could always be doing it better. While it's great to hear kudos that we do a tremendous job, we could always do it better. And until I walk through the halls of our organization and see everybody in there, then we aren't doing it better, or to my level of satisfaction. So our internal message is education, education, education. Whether that's in we have our maintenance crew here, the director of infrastructure here, our family center operations person is here today. You come because you deal with the audiences and the populations and the communities as well. So internally, we push ourselves, we challenge ourselves, we call each other out. Don't Photoshop that picture, don't just talk to this, don't pander. Understand the people, learn the people, and so that's really what the Y does internally. And we do it, we try to do it as hard as possible, and after today, we're going to do it harder because Michael's going to come.
Awesome, awesome. I think that always is a challenge. I mean, we talk to, and I know that Megan and I have this conversation, we talk to advertisers who, once you finally get them over the hump of saying, okay, I want to reach out and reach young urban professionals, I want to reach gay folks, I want to reach Latinos, I want to reach African Americans, but I don't necessarily have any of those people sitting on my staff. There's got to be an internal training process that happens as well, so that it can't just be the marketing guy who gets it, because then when the African American couple shows up on the car lot, and if you haven't trained your salespeople, now again, you look like you're pandering. You look like you're just trying to go after the money without really getting the market. And so, Megan, that brings me to you. Thank you for being here, Megan from 614, which I love 614 magazine. It is, we consider it sort of our sister publication by completely different parents. Because we really hit an urban progressive demographic, and so does 614. So we have a lot of crossover readership, and we just come at it from two different ways. Megan, I'm really interested in how you guys at 614 measure how successful you are in your diversity outreach. What kind of internal benchmarks and conversations are you having to say, yeah, we're doing this, or here's what we could be doing better?
Thank you, Michael. I'll tell you, one of the greatest things that 614 has done, I think, to date is our events. Every month we do a 614 night out that we engage our advertisers along with our readers. And also, we've done Restaurant Week Columbus, which happens 2 times a year, and it involves the whole community. We involve about 50 or more restaurants and a great group of sponsors. At the end of each event, we donate $5,000 to the Mid-Ohio Food Bank, and to date, we've donated more than $20,000 to the Mid-Ohio Food Bank.
And so, and at those events, you're looking for what kind of diversity you're seeing at those events as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool because I think it's one of those. All of the organizations that are sitting up here, sort of like I go to Victoria's events, we go to the Y events, we go to 614, and it's like we all run in the same circle. So we're really, my take-home message before we turn this back over to Teresa for questions is my take-home message is that in an absolute world there would be no labels. We all live in Columbus, Ohio. We all live in Central Ohio, and that's our community, and that's our family, and that's our niche. And so the better we are at reaching out to the subgroups of that and bringing them together, the better we are at continuing to take this part of the country and particularly this part of our state and move it forward, because we're all rooted here, we all love it here, and this is what we're going to keep doing for pretty much as long as you'll keep inviting us back. So,
Can I add to that?
Sure.
So I think another great thing for us to do is in the Y, we make sure our committees look like the people we want to bring in the room, look like the people we serve. It wouldn't be right if we had all white women on a Y's committee. So every committee, we make sure, not just going out picking somebody, but we make sure that we are extremely reflective. In Women of Achievement this year, Cardinal Health, I'm a big leadership person. I'm a big person of looking at women and what women look like up the corporate ladder. So one of the things that stuck out to me in Women of Achievement this year, our booklet, was the advertising that Cardinal Health did. They put all of their women execs in the picture. So I saw me. Not only did I see a brown me, but I saw a woman me. And so that's out of all of our advertising. And we have some amazing partners. We have an amazing community. But that is the one that when I look at this and think about what we're talking about today, that's what No Labels is for me. That's making sure that we all look like who we really are, because this is what Columbus is. So that's my little 2 cents.
Absolutely. I think we do questions and answers now, right? So I'll turn it back over to Teresa. Thank you all for your attention. We really appreciate it.
Well, I think we would all agree that the panel, Michael and the panel, have certainly been a real treat for us today and helped inspire us to think about our customers and our audiences differently. Now it's your turn, and CMC films all of its forums for broadcast on WOSU Ohio digital channel, which is available on most cable systems, Time Warner Cable 411 local on demand, and on the Ohio channel. Forums are also on the CMC and the Columbus Metropolitan Library websites. If you have a question, please go to the microphone, which is right in the front of the room, and introduce yourself and ask your question. As always, we will thank you for not making long editorial comments.
I'm Jane Scott. I have, first of all, I'm very concerned about the apathy and the lack of enthusiasm on this panel today. Second of all, I have a question. You've talked about pandering and you've mentioned some of the things that we want to avoid. Are there other things, you've mentioned things that we should be doing, are there other things that we should absolutely not do, be careful, they're red flags, pitfalls?
I think that's a great question. I think the first thing is, goes back to one of the things that Victoria said, is that if as you are designing your programming, your outreach, your advertising, whatever it is, if you're making sure to include members of that target demographic in the planning stages, you are really much less likely to make those big bumbles, because we're going to sit in the room, we're going to go, no, that's not going to work. The other thing I think that you need to do is to make sure that there are a variety of folks in the community who do multicultural consulting. Megan and I will come out and independently or together and talk to your business or group, and if we determine that advertising with 614 and Outlook is not going to get you where you need to be, we'll tell you that. We don't want to take your money if it's not going to work. But the last slide that I put up, Jane, the find good partners and form long-term relationships, I think that's just a big part of it, is to make sure that you've got all the right people at the table. And Shauna Gibbs, a good friend of mine, once said that the difference between diversity and inclusion is diversity is everybody sits at the table. Inclusion means they're all allowed to talk. And I think you have to be able to make that step as well. You have to put people in that group, and then you have to give them the ability to stand up and say, yes, this will really work, or no, I find that offensive, or I really think that's going to backfire, and then listen to those folks. You guys want to add anything to that? I'm going to shut up.
No?
Okay.
I think we have another question coming to the microphone.
Hi, I'm Bill Lafayette. I kind of want to look at another aspect of niche attraction or repulsion in this case, the idea of boycotts. I have participated and currently participate in boycotting merchants who are unfriendly to the GLBT community. I guess my question really is, how good are our communities at figuring out whether a boycott is justified, whether the information that they see on Facebook or Twitter or wherever is true? And as media companies, what are your responsibilities to kind of speak to that sort of issue?
You guys want to start with them? You go ahead. Sure? They're just going to let me talk. This is really, I'm frightened here. The first part, Bill, is I'll go back to the 49% of consumers say that they will not do business with a company who they think does not share their values. All of that, of course, is a certain, there are gradations of that. There are businesses who do things that we may not like, and then there are businesses that we do things that, you know, up with this I will no longer put kind of thing. I think that the primary responsibility for any group is there are national organizations which are set up who track those kinds of things. Check with organizations like the NAACP, the Southern Poverty Law Center, the Human Rights Campaign, Adelante, some of those other organizations who actually can track those kinds of support, some of those pro versus con policies, and don't necessarily believe everything that you see on Facebook. From a media perspective, I think we certainly do have a certain amount of responsibility. I am lucky enough that my business partner and I are in full alignment on this. There are certain companies whose money we will not take. And the classic example is that every year on the anniversary of Matthew Shepard's death, the Westboro Baptist Church offers us a ginormous check to run a full-page ad saying, God hates fags, Matthew will burn in hell. And every year I politely tell them to keep their money. So now that's an extremist example, but there are certain things that along those lines that I do think that media companies and organizations have a responsibility, whether it's us saying we're not going to run that ad, or the Y or Fifth Third saying we're not going to use you as a supplier anymore, because these social policies are simply so far out of step with our corporate philosophy that unless you change this behavior, you are no longer welcome in our corporate culture.
I think we have another question.
Mike Levine, brand marketing.